Hi, welcome to English Unlock the Oral Mastery. Think of this as your daily dose of inspiration, where learning English feels like a breeze and improving your life feels like home. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Jenny. It's really so good to be here with you all today.
Yeah, I have been looking forward to this conversation basically all week. We are diving into a topic that, honestly, it hits a little too close to home for me.
I think it hits close to home for everyone.
Right, it's this invisible barrier that kind of stands between who we are right now and who we want to be. But before we get into the heavy lifting, I know you prepared a little riddle for me to kick things off.
I did, yes. I want to start with a question. It sounds simple, but the answer is actually quite complex.
Okay, I'm ready.
I want you to tell me, what is the single most important factor that determines whether a person succeeds or fails in learning a complex skill?
The single most important factor.
Yep.
Okay, well, that is a big question. My instinct says maybe intelligence, having a high IQ, or maybe just pure talent, because we always hear about those people who just have an ear for languages.
Yeah, that is definitely the common assumption. We look at a polyglot, someone who speaks 5 or 6 languages, and we immediately think, wow, they must be a genius.
Right.
But the research actually shows that while intelligence helps, it's really not the deciding factor.
Okay, so if it's not raw brain power, is it resources, like having the best tutors, the most expensive software, or the ability to travel abroad?
Uh-huh. Well, money certainly smooths the road. I won't deny that at all.
Yeah.
But we have all seen people with unlimited resources who never really learn, and then people with nothing but a library card who become absolute masters. The real answer, the secret engine behind all of it, is self-discipline.
Self-discipline.
Yes. It is the unsexy, boring truth. It is the ability to do what needs to be done, even when you really don't want to do it.
Yeah, it's funny you call it unsexy, because we usually sell the dream of language learning. It's exactly.
The travel, the romance, the big business deals. But nobody sells the Tuesday night when you're tired and you just have to review your vocabulary flashcards.
Precisely. And that is exactly why self-discipline is the engine. Because motivation is like the spark that starts the car.
Okay.
It feels great, it's loud, it's exciting. But discipline is the gas in the tank. It's what keeps the car moving for the next 1,000 miles long after that initial spark has died out.
I really, really needed to hear that distinction today because, to be completely honest with you and with everyone listening, I've been struggling with that gas in the tank issue lately.
Oh, yeah? In what way?
Well, take physical fitness, for example.
Ah.
I have this very clear image of myself being a fit. I wake up with the full intention to exercise. I know I should go to the gym.
Right.
But then reality hits. I look at my couch, I look at the TV remote, and suddenly that couch looks like the most comfortable place on earth, and the gym just feels like a torture chamber. I think every single person listening right now is nodding their head. We have all been there. It is the classic conflict between the present self, who just wants comfort, and the future self, who wants results.
And the present self usually wins.
It does. We often fall into what psychologists call the I'll start tomorrow syndrome.
Oh, yes.
We convince ourselves that the future us will somehow have more energy, more willpower, and more time than the present us.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, future me is a superhero. He loves getting up at 5 a.m., but present me just wants a donut.
Exactly. But the harsh reality is that tomorrow never actually arrives. You only ever have today. So our mission for this deep dive is to bridge that gap.
I love that.
We aren't just going to tell you to try harder. We are going to break down the psychology of discipline specifically for English learners and give you a real toolkit to bypass that lazy present self.
Bypass the lazy self.
Okay.
Okay, so if I am currently stuck on that couch and I'm paralyzed by the idea of studying, how do I actually start? Because that very first step always feels like the hardest part.
It is the hardest part. In physics, we call that static friction.
The static friction.
Yeah, it takes much more energy to get a stationary object moving than it does to keep a moving object in motion. So, to overcome that static friction, we need our first major strategy, which is the power of tiny habits.
Tiny habits.
Yes. And my tip number 1 is to start small. And when I say small, I mean ridiculously, laughably small.
Okay, I have heard this advice before, but I want to push back on it just a little bit.
Go for it.
If I want to master a language, which takes thousands of hours, how is starting small going to get me there? Don't I need deep, intense immersion?
That is the natural intuition, yes.
Yeah.
You get motivated, you buy the textbooks, and you say, I am going to study for 2 hours every single day. It sounds heroic.
It sounds like a plan that gets fast results.
Ideally, sure, but neurologically, it is a disaster waiting to happen. Your brain is actually designed to protect you from stress. When it sees a massive task like study English for 2 hours, the fear center of the brain lights up.
No, really?
Yes. It perceives that huge task as a threat to your comfort and your energy reserves.
So my own brain is actually fighting against me because the goal is just too big.
Exactly. It triggers a flight response. You flee to watching a movie instead. So the counter strategy is to make the task so small that your brain's radar doesn't even pick it up. Instead of 2 hours, you commit to 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Or even 2 minutes.
But and I'm playing devil's advocate here. Can you actually learn anything meaningful in just 5 minutes? It seems like by the time I find my book and open it, the time is already up.
That is the secret. The goal of those 5 minutes is not fluency. The goal is initiation.
Initiation. Just starting.
Right. You are trying to establish the mental pathway of showing up because you cannot improve a habit that does not exist.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
You can't optimize zero.
Precisely. There's a fantastic book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's practically a Bible for this kind of thinking. He talks about how habits are like an entrance ramp to a highway. Once you are on the highway, driving is easy. The hard part is just getting on the ramp.
So the 5 minutes is the entrance ramp.
Yes. And usually what happens, you tell yourself, I'll just do 5 minutes. You open the book, you read one paragraph, and then you just keep going because you have already overcome that static friction.
That is so true. The anticipation of the work is usually way more painful than the work itself.
100%. And there's another layer to this. It's about compounding.
Compounding, we usually hear that term in finance, right? Like compound interest.
Yes, but it applies perfectly to learning. If you improve just 1% every day, mathematically, you end up 37 times better by the end of the year.
Wow.
But if you try to do too much, burn out, and quit entirely, your progress is zero. So a mediocre 5-minute study session that actually happens is infinitely superior to the perfect 2-hour session that you skip.
Consistency beats intensity.
That should be the mantra for every single language learner. Intensity makes for a good story, but consistency makes for a good result.
Okay, I am sold on the tiny habit. I can do 5 minutes. I can do anything for 5 minutes. But let's fast forward a bit. Let's say I've been doing this for a few weeks.
Okay.
It's going well, but then life happens. My boss yells at me, my car breaks down, or I just forget. Suddenly it's bedtime, and I realize I broke the chain. I relied on my memory, and my memory failed me.
That brings us to a really crucial realization. You don't have a motivation problem. You have a system problem. Which brings us to section 2 of our deep dive, systems versus goals.
This is a concept that really changed how I view success in general.
Yeah.
Can we unpack the difference? Because most people use the words goal and system interchangeably.
They are very different. A goal is a desired outcome. I want to speak fluent English. I want to lose 10 pounds. I want to win the championship.
Right. It's the destination.
But think about the Olympics. Every athlete at the Olympics has the exact same goal to win the gold medal.
True.
But only one wins. So clearly, simply having the goal isn't what makes the difference.
That is a great point. The winners and the losers have the exact same goals.
Exactly. What separates the winner is their system. The system is the collection of daily habits and processes that naturally lead to the goal.
So if the goal is fluency, what is the system?
The system is something like, I listen to an English podcast for 15 minutes every morning while I drink my coffee. Or I read one page of an English book every night right before I brush my teeth.
The distinction I'm hearing is that the goal is the what, but the system is the when and the how.
Yes. And even more importantly, a good system removes the need for decision-making. We want to automate the behavior entirely.
Automation, that's the dream.
Think about it. If you have to wake up every morning and ask yourself, when should I study today? Should I do it now or maybe later? You are burning valuable mental energy just deciding to work.
And eventually you'll just decide no.
Right. But a system uses implementation intentions. The formula is very simple. When situation X arises, I will perform response Y.
When X, then Y.
Exactly. When I get in my car, I play the audio lesson. It's not a choice, it's a trigger.
It becomes almost robotic in a good way.
No.
You don't have to negotiate with yourself anymore.
Exactly. You stop relying on willpower and start relying on the routine. You want your English learning to be as automatic as brushing your teeth. You don't need motivation to brush your teeth. You just do it because it's what you do.
I love that. But I have to bring up a practical roadblock that disrupts even the best systems out there.
What's that?
Distractions. Even if I have my perfect system, I study at 7 p.m., I sit down, and suddenly, ding, my phone lights up. A notification comes in, and just like that, my focus is completely shattered.
The smartphone, the modern destroyer of attention spans. You are right. You can have the best system in the world, but if your environment is working against you, you will fail. This leads us to our third area of mastery, which is environment design.
This sounds a bit like feng shui for studying.
Haha, in a way, it is. It's about the architecture of choice. We tend to think that we make decisions based on what we want, but we actually make decisions based on what is easy.
The path of least resistance.
Correct. So, if we want to build discipline, we need to manipulate that path. We need to make bad habits hard and good habits easy. Let's talk about that phone.
Please do. It is my biggest weakness.
We need to apply the out of sight rule. The phrase out of sight, out of mind is actually neurologically true. Visual cues trigger cravings. If you see the phone, your brain craves the quick reward of checking it.
So if I simply remove the visual cue,
You break the loop. When you are studying, putting the phone face down on the desk isn't enough. Put it in a drawer. Put it in another room.
another room, that sounds terrifying.
It feels that way at first, but here's the magic. We are naturally lazy. If your phone is in another room and you feel the urge to check social media, you have to physically stand up, walk to the other room, and retrieve it.
Right.
That little bit of extra effort, that friction is usually enough to make your brain say, never mind, I'll just keep studying.
You're using your own laziness against yourself.
Exactly. You are weaponizing your laziness. But this works both ways. We want to add friction to bad habits, but we want to remove friction for good habits.
So make the English study materials impossible to ignore.
Yes. If your English book is buried at the bottom of a backpack in the closet, you will never read it. There are just too many steps to get it.
Too much friction.
Right. Instead, leave the book open on the kitchen table, put your vocabulary list taped right to the bathroom mirror, put the podcast app on the main home screen of your phone, not buried in some folder.
So when I stumble into the kitchen in the morning, the English lesson is literally staring me in the face.
Yes. You are designing an environment where success is the default option. You don't have to go looking for the habit. The habit comes looking for you.
That is profound. It shifts the blame from, I am a lazy person, to, I have a poorly designed room.
And that is a very liberating realization for a lot of learners. It's not a character flaw. It's a design flaw.
Okay, so we've designed the room, we've got the tiny habit, but let's be real, studying grammar can still be, well, boring.
It can be dry, yes.
Is there a way to make the actual process feel less like a chore? Because sometimes I'm just dreading the boredom of it.
Absolutely. We can hack our brain's reward system using a technique called temptation bundling.
Temptation bundling. That sounds like a marketing term.
It actually comes from behavioral economics. The idea is to bundle a behavior that is good for you, but you don't want to do, with a behavior that feels good, that you love to do.
Okay, give me a concrete example of this.
Let's say you love listening to true crime podcasts or maybe watching a specific reality TV show. That is your guilty pleasure.
Got it.
And let's say you need to practice your English listening or review vocabulary, which you kind of hate. You make a strict rule for yourself. I'm only allowed to listen to that true crime podcast while I'm doing my English vocabulary review. Or maybe I can only eat my favorite expensive chocolate while I am studying verbs.
Oh, I see. So you're hijacking the desire for the reward.
Exactly. You are associating the good feeling of the chocolate or the entertainment with the act of studying.
It's self-bribery.
It is 100% self-bribery, but it transforms the experience entirely. Suddenly, you aren't thinking, "Ugh, I have to study." You're thinking, "Ooh, I get to eat that chocolate now."
You turn the have to into a get to.
Yes. You're pairing a want with a need. I actually did this myself with exercise. I only allowed myself to listen to my absolute favorite audiobook while I was on the treadmill.
And did it work?
It worked too well. I found myself actually wanting to go to the gym just so I could find out what happened in the next chapter.
That is brilliant. So for you listening right now, maybe get that special cup of coffee, but you can only take a sip after you finish a page of English reading.
Exactly. Make the
Yeah.
discipline tasty.
Now, I want to pivot to something I've noticed in my own daily rhythm. I usually start the day feeling pretty disciplined. I'm like a warrior in the morning.
That morning motivation.
But by 8 p.m., forget it. I have zero self-control. If you ask me to conjugate verbs at 8 at night, I'm going to cry. I just want pizza and sleep.
You are describing a very real biological phenomenon. This brings us to Section 5, Willpower Management.
So it's not just me being weak in the evenings.
Not at all. You need to stop thinking of willpower as a personality trait and start thinking of it as a resource. Or better yet, a muscle.
A muscle.
Yes.
Well,
Think about physical muscles. If you go to the gym in the morning and do heavy squats for an hour, how do your legs feel that night?
they're jelly. They're completely done.
Exactly. Willpower works the exact same way. It is actually linked to energy levels in the brain. Every single time you make a decision what to wear, what to eat, focusing on work, suppressing annoyance at a coworker, you are doing a rep with your willpower muscle.
We really don't realize how many decisions we make in a single day.
Thousands of them. And by 8 p.m., you suffer from what we call decision fatigue. Your battery is empty. That is why you eat the pizza. Your brain simply doesn't have the energy to say no anymore.
That makes so much sense. So trying to force myself to do difficult English study at night is basically setting myself up for failure.
For most people, yes. You are fighting against your own biology. So the tip here is to find your peak energy time.
Which, for most of us, is earlier in the day.
Usually, yes. There is a famous productivity tip often attributed to Mark Twain, eat the frog.
Eat the frog. That sounds appetizing.
Haha. It means do the hardest, most uncomfortable task first thing in the morning. If you have to eat a live frog, do it immediately, and the rest of the day will be easy by comparison.
So do your English study before the world drains your battery.
Yes. If you can do 15 minutes of English before you even check your email, you are using your premium brain power on learning. If you wait until night, you are giving your learning the leftover scraps of your energy.
Premium brain power. I really like that. We should treat our language learning like a VIP guest, not an afterthought.
Exactly. Protect that time.
We have covered so much ground here today. We've got tiny habits, systems, environment design, temptation bundling, and energy management. But there is one final piece of the puzzle.
Yes, there is.
What happens when, despite all of this, I still feel like quitting? Because, let's be honest, learning English can be really lonely.
That loneliness is a killer. When you are self-studying, you are in a vacuum. If you skip a day, nobody knows. If you quit, nobody cares.
It's the tree falls in the forest problem. If
Yes.
no one is around to see you study, did it really happen?
Exactly. And that is where our final tip is accountability.
Accountability.
We are social animals. We are wired to care deeply about what others think of us. We want to look good in the eyes of our tribe. And we can actually hack this social instinct to build discipline.
So we need an external witness.
Yes, you need a pop.
A cop?
Not literally, but you need someone who holds you to your word. This could be a tutor, a language exchange partner, or even just a friend.
How does that change the dynamic?
Imagine you have a lesson scheduled with a tutor at 6 p.m. You are tired, you don't want to do it, but you know that the tutor is sitting there waiting for you.
You can't just not show up. That would be rude.
Exactly. The social pressure, the fear of letting someone down overrides your laziness. You show up because you have to.
It's a gentle force pushing you.
It is. And it doesn't even have to be a paid tutor. You can just text a friend and say, hey, I promise to send you a voice note of me speaking English every day. If I don't send it, I owe you $10.
Ooh, putting money on the line. That raises the stakes.
It works wonders. Suddenly, skipping your habit has a very tangible cost. We call this a commitment device. You are locking your future self into a specific behavior.
So the lesson here is don't try to be a lone wolf.
No. Lone wolves usually starve. Run with a pack. Find a community. Share your goals. When you make your goal public, you fight harder to achieve it because your reputation is on the line.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation. I feel like we've taken the abstract concept of discipline and turned it into a mechanical set of levers we can pull.
That is the goal. We want to move from wishing for discipline to actively engineering discipline.
So let's quickly recap the toolkit for you listening right now. Start with tiny habits, just 5 minutes to overcome that static friction.
Build a system, not just a goal. Automate the behavior so you don't have to think about it.
Design your environment. Hide the phone. Display the books. Out of sight, out of mind.
Bundle your temptations. Make the hard work tasty by pairing it with something you love.
Manage your willpower. Eat the frog when your battery is full in the morning.
And finally, get accountability. Don't go it alone. Find someone to keep you on track.
It really sounds so doable when you break it down like that. But I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over. We often think of discipline as a form of punishment, right? Like we are restricting ourselves.
Right, like a prison.
Exactly. But what if discipline is actually the key to ultimate freedom? Because when you have the discipline to learn English, you are buying yourself the freedom to travel confidently, the freedom to apply for better jobs, and the freedom to connect with millions of new people. The restriction today creates the freedom tomorrow.
I love that perspective. It changes everything. But remember, knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is power. So we want to challenge you, the listener, right now.
Yes, we have a challenge for you. Based on everything we discussed today, we do not want you to change your whole life overnight. We want you to pick just one tiny habit.
What is one small thing, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, that you will start doing today? Not tomorrow, today.
Maybe it's listening to just one song in English. Maybe it's reading one paragraph.
Whatever it is, commit to it. And we invite you to share that tiny habit in the comments or tell a friend. Make it real.
And remember, this journey is a marathon, not a sprint. We are here to support you. You are not doing this alone.
Absolutely. Every single step counts.
Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive on discipline. I hope you feel a little less guilty about the couch and a little more empowered to build your system.
It has been an absolute pleasure unpacking this with you.
I'm Daniel.
And I'm Jenny. Keep learning, stay disciplined, and we'll see you next time on English Unlocked.
Bye, everyone.